Hello, I'm very grateful you're here today. I've known you since you're 5 years old, so I think that I have a very wide, broad idea of what you should study. But it depends, of course, on you. The final decision is yours, but we're going to dive deep into not only the path that I feel fits you perfectly, but we should dive deep into a more existential and creative way of seeing the world, to be honest. I think you are a very creative person and very ambitious. So, we're going to talk about how life works in general, right? Since you were born, you have been seeing infrastructures. You've been in infrastructures almost all your life, okay? Since you're born, because you were in a hospital. You were born in a hospital. Um, if you went to school, you were in a school, all of these urban infrastructures will build for life to work in this specific way, okay? Us as a society, we decided that this was the best way to go, the best way to differentiate where you should study, how you should study, where health should be taken um, care of, also administration, housing. So I think you know where I'm going towards, but I want you to think this not only as a single piece, you know, not as urban areas, but as multiple opportunities where you can not only dive yourself into buildings, but also functionality. And all of this is going to guide you towards a broader spectrum because creativity will be put into form, into a thing you can actually touch, and it goes beyond that creativity itself. The career that I'm going to talk to you about is architecture, and I'm going to give you 10 specific things and reasons why I think this is good for you, being ambitious and creative. Um, the number one thing, and I think it's the most important, is that there are different ways of thinking about this, okay? We have different paths that could be open. If you want to go towards real estate, that would be beautiful. If you want to go towards interior design, which is something that I personally vibe with a lot because you are always going to be surrounded by architecture. That's just a fact. And you will be seeing it as different ways depending on how you feel like. Okay? So you have this career and you can do whatever you want with it. You can dive yourself into real estate, building, buying if you like business. You can also go towards interior design, as I said. Um, very being very specific with the emotions that you create in the space or how you perceive certain materials, textures, lighting. All of this is going to um, open up into a wider spectrum of creation that goes farther than just building. Um, it leads you to urban planning, also, which is the first point that I made while talking about life, because I feel like architecture is not only the concept itself, I think it also very much explains the way things work and how things are going to work because even you think about your house, you have your path or your way from your door that goes to the street to your room, you have that memorized. Don't you think that makes something or that does something to your brain? This is really important to think about because we're never going to escape from architecture. And it also you could specialize in sustainability, which is um pretty much important, and you think about this all the time. I think about this often. How do I make things or like waste less, you know? All of this is sustainability, and I think it's basically the future, because we've seen how we are destroying our own planet by doing various things, and I think architecture is one of the main things that destroys the world, but it's so inevitable. You need somewhere to live, somewhere to administrate everything, somewhere to study. You need that. So, focusing on sustainability could bring you a broader spectrum of what world the world needs, and the world needs in both ways, like infrastructure, but also nature. So, you would also you could also do like something related to being an entrepreneur, entrepreneurship. That would be very interesting. Or visualization, which is, I think, the hardest, because you need to know a lot of softwares and everything, but that would be just a part of it. It's also very creative. So it gives you a lot of flexibility. That's the first point. Then we go to the second point, which is it gives you a structure to creativity. Okay? We know that we as creative people, me as I do various things of art, I'm an architect and I'm an artist. So I have found this very deep rooted path to creativity through architecture. It's because you have a structure. You know, you have to first do the draft. Well, before doing the draft, you have to talk to the client, right? Talk to the client what they want, empathize, like have a little bit of interpretation of how those feelings, what they want, could be put into something that you can see, that you can go through. So, um, you have this talent within you, and I know that, but it lacks direction at times, to be honest. So, this would help you a lot with your creative blocks. And I take my time to tell you that you should check out that creative awakening guide that I made. It's going to be in my description, because I've used this many, many times, and this was also very much taken into consideration while I was studying architecture, also, because it opened my mind into making things more functional, you know, more logical. Creativity turns into something just fantasy wise, but if you don't have a structure, you will never be able to fantasize about something, or, well, not fantasize, that's the wrong wording, to be honest. But like, imagine things from zero. You can't do that. You need a structure. So it will help you a lot with that. It will channel your creativity into real constraints. Okay, you cannot build something in the air, or you cannot build something without a foundation. And that is the correct word. You need budget, you need structure, you need climate, you need people, which will turn every single idea that you have into reality. Literally, you can touch it, you can live in it. You can make art into a living art. Then we have how it rewards your ambition and effort. It's always going to be rewarding to study architecture, because you have the basis while you study the career. But after that, when you are actually working on it, you gain so much skills, okay? And you will be rewarded by that. The more skills that you learn in architecture, the more people pay you, and the more you are needed. So that's interesting. You will be needed regarding regardless of the path that you take. It's just skillful. You gain skills from day one to be honest. Then we have how it builds confidence through competence. And I know you are ambitious, so I want you to think about this. The more that you do these things, the more that you work in architecture, you will definitely be confident on saying how things work. It's just a matter of time and effort. And I know you're willing to do that. And I know that is something that you crave the most, gaining confidence through your career. So you may start a little bit unsure, but I think you will eventually learn how buildings, how architecture works, and that will make you confident. Then we have number five, which is it develops leaderships. Okay, leadership skills pretty early. From day one, you have to be, you have to own what you're doing, and you have to take every single detail into consideration. You will not be able to work alone, sadly. And to be honest, that's a great thing because you won't be the one at fault in the building of a house. Of course, you need to take responsibility, that's a lot of responsibility, but you won't be working by yourself. You have all of these other professionals giving you insight and giving you also parts of their work that add up into your own, which is the best thing that I could ever imagine. Like, imagine being a professional and working with other professionals and growing together. That's just everything. So, you manage this projects that are very, very complex, and you have to take responsibility. But at the same time, these skills that you learn will help you manage other areas in your life as well, which is beautiful. Number six, it offers you a meaning beyond just self expression. And this we have talked before, and I've talked with you about this. The vitreous triangle, I don't know if it's triangle or what, but you have functionality, utility, and beauty. We have these three things that are, well, no, it's not utility, it's functionality, function, structure, and beauty. That's it. We have these three things that are going to help you improve space in general. You're always going to be seeing how everything works out in your environment. You will be walking around a random city and looking at these houses and seeing how they were made. You're interested not only in the expression or how you see them, it's like, okay, that is beautiful, but how does it work? How is it useful? You know, have you seen a house and it's just like, what the hell? And then you are like, oh, it makes sense. And yeah, you gain all of that knowledge that is just beyond just how it looks. You start seeing the world very differently, let me tell you. Oh boy, let me tell you how you see the world. Because it's not about a personal style that you develop, it's also about how you are bringing that memory into a person. If you see an old building, you won't want to destroy it because you're destroying the memory of a person. So, how are you going to restore and conserve that memory of a culture, of community? You know, it goes further than that, it goes way further. So, you don't only think about architecture as something that is built, just a building, just a structure. You think about a soul that is behind that. You think about a memory, how you are just thoughtful of a place and of human history. And I believe that is a way to go, and that's the way that I went when I specialized. I did a major in conservation and restoration of buildings. So I think that makes you really humble and makes you very, very thoughtful of your roots. You want to just maintain that because it's beautiful beyond looks. Then we go to the number seven, which is it blends imagination with impact. And that is just so real. How much of what you're building is going to be used, and it's going to be really, really meaningful for the people in the building. So you're not just choosing between this creative awakening that you're having, but you're also being very creative and very useful. Like, you need a middle point, middle ground. How much of what you imagine can be built? And it allows both. It allows creativity and utility to be in the same place, in the same idea. So you actually make these ideas into buildings, into spaces, and into something that actually exists, and that you will go through that space every single, well, people will go through that space every single day to work to this house, and it will make a memory in them. You make a huge impact in everyone's life. So it takes us to the number eight, which is it prepares you for a future that values problem solvers. If you are a problem solver, then you should totally go through this. And it's exactly what architecture is about, just solving problems, period. You solve them, you're solving a huge problem, okay? And there are many problems in architecture, so you choose one. You choose one. And it's very profitable also, very needed. AI could be able to replace your designs, or not replace, never replace, keep in mind, but will be able to help you with your designs, but it will never be able to have a completely meaningful interaction with the people that are going to live in that place or even build in the first place. It's so you're training basically this mindset of solving problems, and it's so valuable. Then we have number nine, which is it suits people who think visually and strategically. If you like thinking big or connecting these whole ideas, like how am I going to make this more enjoyable? How do you have to connect your plans, your idea, long term? How would you make this building last longer or be used in another ways maybe in the future? You need to think about that, how it looks if you're walking from point A to point B. How do you solve this problem? How do you think the lighting is going to get into through the window and get to the person if you place the bathroom here, or the social area, the private area? You will always be at the edge of making the right decision, and it's long term. So it also puts a little bit of pressure on you. But I think it's the right pressure because you're solving people's lives, basically. Then we go to number 10, which is it turns uncertainty into direction. Okay, so you don't know what to study, right? Or are you choosing architecture? I know you are. I know you're thinking about it. Or maybe you already chose that. But let me tell you that if you don't know what to study, architecture will give you this whole framework to actually think about what you want to do next. Okay? You're never stopping there. If you study architecture, you have a whole universe of things that you can specialize on. And I think that is going to allow you to move forward. So you're not going to be stuck ever. You're always one you're always wanting to move, to do something else because you get intrigued by these dynamics, because you can go through so many ways, okay? With architecture. You can specialize in anything basically. So architecture I think is the best career to go, especially for you right now. So you better be thinking about it. And the final thought of this meeting that we have is that I love you and I really hope you choose the right decision. You make the right decision in your career life. But let me tell you that if you study architecture, you won't regret ever. It could be hard, but you can handle that. Math, you can handle that. It's easy. You know? Everything like studying architecture is easy. Don't worry about that. Like don't worry about how hard it's going to be and the professors and deadlines and everything. It will train you to real world problems. So you better be a good person and study architecture. Bye. Love you.